In this video, we're going to be taking a look at dimensional analysis. Now, what dimensional analysis is that it is a systematic process to convert units of one quantity into units of another. This is also going to be known as the diagonal rule. Now, whenever converting, the units to be canceled is going to be placed on the diagonal of the conversion chart. And we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. Now, some common factors that we need to know, or the ones that we use the most often in chemistry, is going to be that 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter, and that 1,000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. These are going to be the most often that we use throughout chemistry, and we are going to use them quite a bit, so we are going to become very familiar with these two conversion factors. All right, taking a look at example 1. It is going to be to convert 5,600 seconds to minutes. And what we need to know in order to convert this is going to be that our 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. Now, whenever setting up a dimensional analysis problem, we are going to start with a chart. And it will look something like this. And the chart is able to be a little bit different depending on how many conversions we need to do. Now, what we're going to do in that top left corner is going to be where we put what is provided to us in the question. So 5,600 seconds is provided to us in the question, and that is going to go in that top left corner, our 5,600 seconds. Now, because we have seconds on the top left, that means that on the bottom right, we also need to have seconds. And that is going to come from the 60 seconds from what we know about this conversion. So those 60 seconds will go here. Now, on top is going to be whatever is equal to those 60 seconds. And in this case, the 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. And that is going to go on top right there. Now, how we solve this is that we are going to multiply the top and divide the bottom. So we are going to get 5,600 times 1 divided by 60. And that is going to be 93.33 minutes. Now, the question is asking us for minutes, and our answer will also be in minutes. And that is going to be how we know that this is solved. All right, let's take a look at our next example. All right, let's take a look at example 2. We are going to convert those minutes from question 1 to hours. So the first thing that we need to do is that we need to look at what we know. So our last question, we were provided 93.33 minutes. And we should know that there are 60 minutes equal to 1 hour. So we're going to set up the chart. And that top left spot is going to be what is provided to us in the question. In this case, it is the 93.33 minutes. Now we have the minutes in the top left, which means that we need minutes in that bottom right. Looking at what we know that 60 minutes will go down here because of that minutes part. So minutes on the top left, minutes on the bottom right. Now on top will be whatever is equal to those 60 minutes. And those 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. That 1 hour will go on top. We are able to solve this. We will multiply the top, divide the bottom. So 93.33 times 1 divided by 60. And that will get us 1.65 hours. Now, we are asked to find hours in the question, and we are ending with hours. So we know that we have solved this correctly. Let's take a look at example 3. It's asking us to convert the number of hours from example 2 into days. Right? Our last question provided us 1.65 hours. Now, what we know about this conversion going from hours to days is that 24 hours is equal to 1 day. We are going to set up the chart. In that top left area, we are going to put our 1.65 hours. Our 1.65 hours will be in that top left. We have hours as the unit, which means that we need hours as the unit for that bottom right. Looking at what do we know about this conversion, so we have hours in the top left, we need hours in that bottom right. The only other number we have with hours is 24 hours, which will go right there in the bottom right section. So the 24 hours. The 24 hours is equal to 1 day, and that 1 day will go on top. So our 1 day. We are able to go ahead and solve this. So we get 1.65 times 1 divided by 24 hours. And that will equal 0.067 days. Now, the question is asking us to solve for days. Our final answer will be in days. And that is going to be how we convert from hours to days. Taking a look at example 4. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated, but all we're doing is that we're putting together those previous questions into one question. So we are going to convert the 5,600 seconds to days. Now, what we know converting seconds to days, we know that 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. We know that 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. And we know that 24 hours is equal to 1 day. Now, like all of our previous questions, we are going to start with what is provided to us. So in the question, it is providing us 5,600 seconds. And that is going to go in this top left diagonal. So our 5,600 seconds. Now, we're starting with seconds, which means that on our next diagonal, we are going to need seconds. The only number that has seconds is going to be our 60 seconds. So that will go into this next diagonal. So those 60 seconds. Now, the 60 seconds is equal to that 1 minute. So that 1 minute is going to go on top. All right, so this was our question 1. So this was our first conversion that we did. So we are going to continue this now. So we're combining all this into one problem. All right, we have our minute on top, which means that on our next diagonal, we are going to need our minute. Looking at what we know that our 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So our 60 minutes will go into this next diagonal. Now our 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So that means that our 1 hour will go on top. Now, right here, we are stopping in hours, but it's asking us to solve for days. So we have our 1 hour on top. Continuing on, we are going to have our hours on the next diagonal. The only other number we have with hours is 24 hours. So our 24 hours will come into this next diagonal. And then in order to convert our hours to days, we know that our 24 hours is equal to 1 day, and that 1 day will go on top. And then we are able to solve. So we get our 5,600 times 1 times 1 times 1 divided by 60 divided by 60 divided by 24. So whenever we have multiple layouts, such as this, we are going to multiply everything on top first, multiply everything on the bottom, and then we will divide. So we are going to get our 5,600 seconds times 1 times 1 times 1. We'll find our answer. Our next one will be our 60 seconds times 60 seconds times 24. We'll get our answer, and then we will divide those. Now, whenever we do that, we will end up with 0.065 days as our answer. Let's go ahead and take a look at another example. All right, so in this case, we're going to convert 500 grams to ounces. So getting a little bit more science related, we're getting out of our common time frame and time units. So getting a little bit more into the units that we are going to be talking about in chemistry. All right, so different things that we're going to know or what will be provided. So 454 grams is equal to 1 pound, and 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. Just like all of our other examples, we are going to start with what is provided to us in the question. We are provided 500 grams, so that will go in that top left spot. Right? Now, we have grams on top, which means that we need to have grams on this next diagonal. The only number that is connected to grams is 454 grams. So that will go right down here. Those 454 grams is equal to 1 pound. So that 1 pound will go on top. Now, we are in pounds, but it's asking for ounces. So we need to go ahead and continue this conversion. We have pounds on top, so we need pounds on this next diagonal. The only other pounds we have is 1 pound, which will go right down here. And then in order to convert pounds to ounces, we know that 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. So those 16 ounces will go on top. And we have completed our setup. And now we are able to go ahead and solve. We will multiply the top, multiply the bottom, and then divide. So 500 times 1 times 16, we will get our answer. 454 times 1, and then we will divide the top and bottom. And we will get around 17.62 ounces. So again, we are going to take our 500 times 1 times 16. We'll get our answer. 454 times 1, get our answer. We will divide those two numbers to get our final answer of 17.62 ounces. All right, let's take a look at our last example. So example 6. All right, so this is asking how many grams are in 2.33 moles of water. All right, so what do we know about this? All right, so provided to you is going to be our 1 mole of H2O is equal to 18.02 grams of H2O. Now, this and everything is just a one-step conversion, so we're just converting our moles to grams. So our chart is going to be relatively basic, so just a one-step conversion. Just like all of our other examples, what is provided to us in the question will go up in the top left, our 2.33 moles of H2O. Now we have our moles of H2O on the top left, which means that we need moles of H2O on this bottom right. The only other moles of H2O that I have is 1 mole of H2O, and that will go in that bottom right section. Now, what that is equal to is that 18.02 grams of H2O, which will go on top. We're ending in that grams of H2O. Now we're able to solve. 2.33 times 18.02 divided by 1. And this will end up with 41.99 grams of H2O. We're ending in our grams of H2O, so we know that we have solved this question.